Hello, my dear students! In the previous video we discussed why das Besteck is neuter, and now it's time to explore what it actually consists of. Der Löffel, die Gabel, and das Messer. You probably remember a little secret I shared with you. In many lexical groups you can find three words of different genders that represent the core meanings of that group. It may be just a coincidence, but somehow it keeps repeating. And here it comes again. Der Löffel, die Gabel, and das Messer. Let's start with der Löffel, spoon, because this word has a very old grammatical pattern inside it. The ending "l" is an ancient suffix that often transforms an action into the name of a tool used for that action. So how is Löffel built? Root löff, from an old root meaning to lick or to lap up. Suffix "l", an ending used for instruments or tools. In other words, a Löffel was originally the thing used for lapping up food. This same pattern appears in many everyday German words. Der Schlüssel, key, from the verb schließen, to close, to lock. Der Deckel, lid, from the verb decken, to cover. Now this becomes extremely useful for learning German articles. Words ending in "l", especially tool or instrument words, are very often masculine in German. That means when you see this pattern, there is a good chance the noun will use der. And there is another nice bonus. These words usually keep the same form in the plural. Der Löffel, die Löffel. Der Schlüssel, die Schlüssel. So the article changes but the word itself stays exactly the same. For German learners, this makes the pattern much easier to remember. Now let's look at die Gabel, fork. At first glance, Gabel may look similar to Löffel, but its history is completely different. This word originally had nothing to do with elegant dinners or restaurant tables. The German word Gabel comes from the Old High German Gabeler, 9th century, which meant a forked tool or a branch instrument. Unlike der Löffel, which is masculine, die Gabel is feminine. Why? Because the ancient form Gabeler ended with R, a very common feminine ending in Old High German. Over time, the pronunciation changed and the modern ending L appeared, but the feminine gender survived. Interestingly, the most of German history, a Gabel was not something people ate with at all. Originally, the word referred to large agricultural tools, pitchforks, hay forks, and other fork-shaped farming instruments. Table forks arrived surprisingly late in Germany, only around the 16th century. Before that, people mostly ate with knives, spoons, and their fingers. In fact, forks were once considered strange, foreign, and even suspicious. Some people compared them to the devil's pitchfork because of the sharp prongs. So the object we now see as elegant tableware once had a very rough reputation. And now we arrive at das Messer, knife, probably the most dangerous member of the German utensil family. Where does Messer come from? The modern word comes from the Old High German Massas, a combination of two ancient elements. Mass meaning food or meat, Sass an old word for a knife or short sword. So originally das Messer was basically the meat cutting blade. And here comes a really cool historical connection. The word Sass is connected to the name of the Saxon, the Saxons. Their name most likely meant the people with knives. So hidden inside the modern word das Messer is an ancient warrior weapon. Why is it das Messer? The word is neuter because the old element Sass was neuter in ancient German, and the gender survived through the centuries. The ending er is a bit deceptive here. it may look similar to words like der hammer, der Wecker, alarm clock. But in Mesa, the "er" is not a modern tool suffix. It's actually a fossil, a surviving fragment of the ancient root itself. The knife was once the king of the table. Forks were barely used, spoons were often shared, but every peasant carried a knife, usually on the belt. And it was not just for dinner. A medieval knife was your eating tool, your work tool, and sometimes your weapon. You cut your meat with it, and if necessary, defended yourself with the same object. A spoon remembers ancient people licking soup from wooden bowls. A fork still carries the shadow of old farming tools, and a knife remembers a time when every traveler carried steel at their side. These are not just words anymore, they are tiny meanings hidden inside everyday speech.